Welcome to the St. Vrain Sports Report. We're glad to have you along with us for our second show of the new school year. Last week we spent the time previewing pretty much all the sports except for football. Today we're going to focus on football. We're going to look ahead at all the local football teams coming into their seasons, which start this week. But first, we have some highlights of a couple other sporting events that happened this past week. Starting off with some softball, Niwot at Frederick on Monday afternoon. Cougars lost their opener to Silver Creek, looking for the first win. Frederick coming in at 3-2. Niwot bringing the bats on this day, starting with Jasmine Aldama, crushing an RBI double to center field. And she had a big day for the Cougars on this one. Later, it's Aldama again, this time with a 2-run base hit. She went 2 for 2 with 3 runs batted in and 3 runs scored. A big day for her at the plate. Another 2-run hit here for Niwot. Aldama, Aaliyah McComas, Zoe Chichu, and Callista Law all had at least 2 RBIs in this game. So Niwot really doing a good job. Warriors get a little something going offensively as senior Jaden Horner delivers an RBI single right there to bring in a run. But Niwot too much in this one as McComas comes through with a 2-run single. She had 2 hits, 3 runs batted in, and pitched a complete game for the win. Cougars added a victory against Longmont the next day as well. They've won 2 in a row. Tri-Valley League Golf at Twin Peaks Golf Course earlier this week. Frederick's Jake Chesler is one of the best golfers in the state. Had a great freshman year last year, here with a nice chip shot onto the green, and that sets up the easy tap it. I think that's a gimme, but they got to make him tap it in there. He finishes with a 3 over par, 73, best local score from our schools. Tanner Strong of Meade with a tee shot right down the middle of the fairway. Looking good there. He follows that up with a nice chip onto the green. Probably wanted to get that one a little closer, but still a nice chip onto the green right there. Misses the putt, but he finished with a solid 85 on the day to lead the way for Meade. Frederick's Nick Formey sinks this putt. He carded a 76 and helped the Warriors to the team victory by 1 stroke over Holy Family. Next up, Erie's Braden Caffarelli teeing off and finishing the hole with a nice putt right there. He led the Tigers with an 84 on the day. And finally, it's Skyline's Keaton Shell with a tee shot right here. Looking good on the tee shot. And Shell had a pretty good day leading the way for Skyline. He does a nice job getting out of the bunker right there, and that's going to set up an easy putt for him. He led the way for the Falcons with an 85, so pretty good performance for Shell. And several of those golfers led by Jake Chesler of Frederick, who we expect to be one of the top golfers in the area this year. So now we're going to turn the page to football. The rest of the show is going to be all football as we preview all the teams coming in to this season from the St. Vrain Valley. And we had a great year in 2018. Looking forward to a better one in 2019. That's a quick look back at a couple of the top plays and players from a year ago, a couple of those who are not back. So we're going to see the replacements coming up later on this season. We're going to start off, we're going to go alphabetical order. We're going to look at Erie first off, and the Tigers. Chad Cooper coming into his 4th season, 29-9 record so far. He's doing a great job over there at Erie. 12-1 a year ago, 5-0 in the North Valley Conference, and they lost in the 3A semifinals to Pueblo East. That's a team that probably, I think, would have won the 3A state title had Noah Roper not been injured in that quarterfinal game. But just an unfortunate injury for them and for him. But the Tigers come in, they've got a lot to replace here. Gavin Mendoza, the quarterback, senior, 550 yards passing, 10 touchdowns. Only had 26 completions on the year, 10 went for touchdowns, 1 interception. He was also their leading returning rusher, 255 yards. They're going to lean on him this year, but Ian Vera, a senior, had touchdowns on 4 of his 13 rushing attempts. So those are 2 guys to look for on offense that maybe potentially could replace Noah Roper. I think Roper, one of the best talents I've seen around here in a long time. I'm not sure they're going to totally replace him, but Erie, they've got a good program going under Chad Cooper. I think they're going to have a good season again this year. Maybe not quite like we've seen, maybe not a state semifinal, state title type of team, but I think that's a team that can make a push for the playoffs. They've got some playmakers. It starts with Gavin Mendoza at quarterback. Let's take a look at Frederick. The Warriors, Travis Peoples is doing a great job there as well. They were in a really bad slump before he took over, but that got a really great class of kids coming in a couple years ago, and they've kind of kept it rolling. 14-7 in his first 2 seasons. They've gotten better each year. Last year, 8-3, 4-1 in the conference, and lost in the first round to Discovery Canyon in double overtime. Just a heartbreaker there. But that Frederick team, they've gotten better each year from 2017 to 2018. They might get even better going into 2019. Brandon Hornby, the running back, senior, 822 yards. You see him, you see one of those guys with a pick right there. But Hornby, 15 touchdowns as well. He averaged 12.1 yards per carry last year. He also plays defense, gets some interceptions there, returns kicks and punts as well. He's one of the top playmakers to watch in this area. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch this season. The Warriors have a shot with him, but he's not the only one. Dylan Sindelar, the tight end, one of the better tight ends in this state, I believe, a Division I prospect there. 579 yards and 7 touchdowns receiving last year. He plays defense as well. And Sean Holbrook, a linebacker, he led the team with 75 tackles a year ago. I think that team's going to be better than they were a year ago, or at least as good. 8-2 in the regular season. They've got a chance to be that good and get into the playoffs once again. I look forward to Frederick being a pretty good team. So Erie and Frederick kicking things off here. I think we're starting off pretty good. Both teams were in the playoffs last year. I think they've got a good shot to get back this year. Let's move on to Longmont and the Trojans. Doug Johnson, yeah, he's around again, 20th year coming back for the Trojans. 144 wins, 72 losses. That's twice as many, if I can do the math right, twice as many wins as losses. Doug, his teams are always pretty good. 7-4 last year, 3-2 in the conference, and they lost in the first round of the playoffs to Ponderosa. Now, they lose a lot. They lost their quarterback. They lose a lot of players, but QB Sage Razzie looks like he's going to get the chance to play quarterback this year. He was their top receiver last year, 626 yards and 11 touchdowns through the air. Also ran for 109 yards, but it looks like he's going to get the first crack at quarterback. Braden Engelking, he led the team with 68 tackles, and so they lose a lot, but we've seen Longmont under Doug Johnson lose a lot of players and come back and still be pretty good. I expect Longmont to be pretty good and make a playoff push again this year in Class 4A. Lions, we're going to move down to Class 1A. We're going alphabetical here. But Lions, they're coming off a tough stretch, very tough stretch. Jason Yancey, his 4th year, 6-21 is his record, 0-9 a year ago, 0-5 in their conference. They were outscored 435-39 last year. They bring a 10-game losing streak into the season, so they're obviously looking to get better this year. QB Aiden Christensen, a junior, he was a wide receiver as a freshman. Their top rusher last year as a quarterback, and he's a pretty good athlete. Lions looking for better this year. Kicker Alexa Carsell, who plays for the Silver Creek girls soccer team. She was their kicker last year and is back to do that again this year. So looking forward to her getting some opportunities that she didn't necessarily have last year, as they didn't score a whole lot of points. But with Aiden leading the way at quarterback, Alexa doing some kicking, I think Lions could be a little bit better than last year. Just 7-29 in the last 4 years. We were used to, for a long time, seeing Lions be really kind of one of those state powers. They're not there yet, but any improvement this year will be much needed for that program. They need to get some wins. They've got a lot of road games to start off their schedule, but they need some wins and some momentum going off early in the season. Last playoff appearance for them, 2013. They would love to get back there at some point soon. Let's move on to Meade under Jason Klatt, 8th season already. Man, it's hard to imagine he's been here that long, but 50-27 overall, 8-4 last year, 5-0 in the conference. This was supposed to be a down Meade team last year, and they still went 5-0 in the conference, made it to the Class 3A state quarterfinals. Players to watch, there's a lot of them. Nathan Bailey, the leading rusher from last year, just shy of 1,000 yards as well as 13 touchdowns. Jake Wachter, 688 yards last year on the ground, 13 touchdowns. Brady Veltine, their quarterback, ran for 537. No, he threw for 537 with 5 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. They don't throw the ball much. They average 48.2 offensive snaps per game, 39.5 of those were runs. So that's their bread and butter. They do that well with Nathan Bailey, Jake Walker this year. Look for Devin Edwards, the senior linebacker, 147 tackles a year ago. Trey Ward, 8 interceptions a year ago in the secondary. So Meade, they're going to be very good again. I expect them to challenge, if not win, that conference title once again. Again, last year was supposed to be a down year, and they win the conference, but this year they got a ton of guys back. I expect Meade to be very good once again, maybe challenge for that state title in Class 3A. Niwot, they're coming in under Jason Lander, his third season, 3-17 overall, but they got better last year. They were 0-10 2 years ago, 3-7 last year. They did struggle in the 3A North Valley Conference, going 0-5, but they had a 3-game win streak early in the season that snapped a 19-game losing streak. So they got some positive things last year. Looking for even more. They got some guys back. Aiden Barco, the junior quarterback, only threw for 563 yards, and had 7 interceptions. But he was a sophomore last year, and he's coming back this year, and that experience should help them right there at quarterback. Liam Flanagan, their senior running back, 702 yards last year. He really had to earn those, averaged just 3.6 yards per carry. They made him work for those yards last year, but hopefully he doesn't have to work that hard to get those yards. And with Aiden and Liam back, that offense should be better than it was last year, and look for Niwot to maybe up their win total again this year for the second year in a row, maybe get close to 500 later on, or at some point this year. They got a good schedule that should give them some momentum early in the season. Let's move on to Silver Creek and Coach Brian McGee, his second season after taking over from Mike Apodaca a year ago, and it was a tough one for the Raptors. 2-8 overall, 1-4 in the Longs Peak Conference. Some players to watch: Carter Clausen. Again, this is another team that didn't throw the ball a ton. We're used to seeing Silver Creek throw it a ton under Apodaca. They didn't throw it a ton last year, but he threw for 844 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 picks. Looking for him to be a little bit more consistent this year. Michael Tomaszewski, the running back, 431 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they're looking for a little bit more firepower out of that offense. Getting those guys back will certainly help. A couple of the guys to watch: Cole Riders and Xander Herman. They're a couple seniors that lead the way on defense. They play both ways sometimes as well. So look for Silver Creek to be better. I think they're going to be better under McGee's second season. They've got some guys coming back, and I think they're going to be close. They're going to be one of those teams that maybe can push for that 500 mark. Certainly being in 4A is tough, but they're a team that I expect to be better than they were a year ago. Now, a team that was really good last year that we'll see if they can duplicate it again this year, Skyline. Let's move on to the Falcons. Mike Silva in his 5th season, and just a tremendous job that he's done there. For so long, Skyline was down in football, 27-18 in his 4 years so far, 10-4 a year ago, 4-1 in the conference, and lose in the 4A title game to Loveland. And Loveland was just a machine last year and destroyed him in the title game. But Skyline, boy, getting back to the title game for the first time since the late 90s. They're looking for, they've been to the playoffs back-to-back years now for the first time in forever. Chase Silver, their quarterback, is back. One of the better quarterbacks in the entire state. He's just a junior, threw for almost 2,900 yards last year, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He had a great year last year. He loses a lot of his weapons, though. 2,000-yard receivers are gone. Jeremy Hollingsworth, who rushed for close to 2,000 yards, is gone as well. So they're going to have some new playmakers. Look for Graydon Bridwell, the junior. He was a solid receiver last year. They lost their top 5 receivers. He didn't get a whole lot of opportunities, but he's talented. He's going to lead the way offensively in the receiving game there. And Michael McCrolla, he's the top running back, I think, that could replace Jeremy Hollingsworth. So Skyline, I think they're rolling along under Coach Silva. They got their quarterback back, and that is huge. I look for Skyline to be good again this year. I don't know if they'll challenge for that state title, but I look for them to be pretty good again this year. Loveland's going to be great as well, so we'll see how good that Skyline team can be. But we're looking forward to seeing the football season that gets started later on this week. Let's take a look at the first week of matchups. Thursday, Meade at Lewis Palmer. Silver Creek goes down to Thomas Jefferson. Almost everybody on the road starting off things this week. Evergreen will be at Erie, so the Tigers get to host in week 1, and Niwot will host over at the stadium against George Washington. Frederick on the road at Kennedy, Skyline at Westminster, and Lions at Platte Canyon. The only team not playing this week, the Longmont Trojans, they will open up their season next week, but almost every team in the area does play this week, so it is football season. Fall sports are into full gear. Football season starts this week. We are excited here at Longmont Channel 8. We want to thank Blaine Robinson and Don Girton for all the behind-the-scenes work that they do on the show, as well as the video for us this week. Check out bocopreps.com and the Longmont Times Call. They will get you up to date on everything going on in high school sports in this area. Like us on Facebook and check us out on the web at longmontchannel.com, where you can watch this or any other programs you like here on Channel 8. And as always, we want to thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you again next week.